Hey guys, welcome to this course. In this lesson, we shall study about the cells of immune system. This course is presented by me, Navneet. You can know more about me from here. You can follow me on this link, and if you like the lesson, kindly rate, review, and recommend. Now, beginning with the lesson, the origin of cells of immune system. They are derived from the common progenitor cell, which is in the bone marrow, which is called as the pluripotent hematopoietic stem cell. Okay, this hematopoietic stem cell gives rise to the progenitor stem cells, which give rise to two types of lineages, that is myeloid lineage and lymphoid lineage. Okay, so in the myeloid lineage, we have monocyte or macrophages, dendritic cells, PMNs, that is the polymorphonuclear leukocytes, and mast cells, and erythrocytes and megakaryocytes as erythroid cells. Okay, in the lymphoid lineage we have small and large lymphocytes. Okay, so this is a diagram of how the hematopoietic stem cell gives rise to different kind of immune system cells. First of all, the hematopoietic stem cell is a self-renewing, that is it can replicate itself and form copies of itself, and secondly, it gives rise to two kind of progenitor cells, that is a myeloid progenitor cell which gives rise to the myeloid lineage, and the lymphoid progenitor cell which give rise to the lymphoid lineage. Okay, first of all, we will study about the myeloid progenitor cell. It forms the granulocytes, which then give rise to the neutrophils and monocytes. Then monocytes give rise to the macrophages. Okay, and this myeloid progenitor cell can also give rise to the dendritic cells. Other than that, they form the eosinophil progenitor cells, which form the eosinophils, and basophil progenitor cell, which form the basophils, and megakaryocytes, which form the platelets later on, and erythroid progenitor cells, which will form the erythrocyte. Now the lymphoid lineage. The lymphoid progenitor cell can be converted into the natural killer cells, that is NK cells, or it can be transformed into the T cells, so T cell progenitor cell, which can transform into T helper cells, T or T cytotoxic cells. Other than that, the lymphoid progenitor cell can be transformed into the B cell progenitor, which will form the B cells, so that is B lymphocytes, or lymphoid progenitor cell can directly form the dendritic cell. Okay, so I hope you understand that. So now moving on. Now the cells of innate and adaptive immunity. These are of myeloid lineage, which are referred to as polymorphonuclear leukocytes or PMNs, in which nuclei are multilobed, 2 to 5. So thus they are called as polymorphonuclear leukocytes. Now secondly, we have the granulocytes. The characteristics of which are they are the cytoplasmic granules. They include neutrophil, eosinophils, and basophils. Neutrophils are the principal phagocytic cells of the innate immunity, that is they perform the phagocytosis, okay, process. Secondly, we have the eosinophil. They are the principal defender against parasites, and the basophils, their function is similar to the eosinophils and mast cells. Okay, now the neutrophils and macrophages, phagocytes, they travel through the body in pursuit of invading pathogens, and when the pathogens are identified, they just engulf them and digest them inside themselves and kill them, and excrete through the and the excretion is performed through the plasma membrane. Next, the neutrophils are found in bloodstream, most abundant phagocyte, normally representing 50 to 60% of the circulating leukocytes. Now, during acute phase of inflammation, particularly as a result of bacterial infection, neutrophils migrate towards the site of inflammation in a process called chemotaxis, that is identification, chemical identification. Okay, and are usually the first cell to arrive at the scene of infection. Okay, now the macrophages are versatile cells that reside within the tissues and produce a wide array of chemicals, including enzymes, complement proteins, and regulatory factors such as interleukin 1. Okay, these are the regulatory factors that regulate the immune system. Okay, now the macrophages also act as scavengers, riding the body of worn out cells and other debris as an antigen presenting cell that activate adaptive immune system. Okay, so the granulocytes are of three types: basophils, eosinophil, neutrophil, eosinophil, and basophils. Okay, so these are the structures of three of them. You can study in details. Another neutrophils, they are granulocytes, they are the cytoplasmic granules, they are also polymorphonuclear, that is having more than one nucleus. They are perform phagocytosis, so they have a short lifespan for approximately hours. They are very important at clearing bacterial infections. They give the innate immunity. Next we have the eosinophils. They kill Ab-coated parasites through degranulation. Okay, they are involved in the allergic inflammation. They are also a granulocyte. They have a double lobed nucleus. So you can refer to the diagram provided in the backward slides. The orange granules contain toxic compounds. Okay. Next we have the basophils. So they might be the blood mast cells. They are cell killing cells. Okay, cell killing cells. Okay. Then we have blue granules contain toxic and inflammatory compounds, and they are important in allergic reactions. Now the monocytes, leukocytes with bean-shaped or brain-like convoluted nuclei are called as monocytes. This is a diagram of monocytes. They circulate in blood for with half-life about 8 hours only. They are the precursors of tissue macrophages. Okay, so you can refer to the diagram. They can have phagosome, lysosome, and nucleus. Okay? Now we have the macrophages, the mononuclear phagocytic cells in tissue. They are derived from blood monocytes. They participate in innate and adaptive immunity. Okay, this is the diagram of macrophage. You can refer to that. Dendritic cells. Okay, they look like this, and cells which form dendriform or star-shaped morphology are called dendritic cells. So they are interdigitating reticular cells. Okay, they capture and present antigens to the T lymphocytes. They are phagocytes in tissues and are in contact with the external environment. Okay, therefore they are located mainly in the skin, nose, lungs, stomach, and intestines. And these are mostly those organs which are in contact with the outermost environment. Thus the dendritic cells are mostly in contact with the external environment. Now they are named for their resemblance to the neuronal dendrites, as both have many spine-like projections, but dendritic cells are in no way connected to the nervous system. Okay, they just look alike. Okay, now they serve as the link between bodily tissues and innate and adaptive immune system, as they present antigen to the T cells. Now the mast cells, they are located in the mucous membrane and connective tissue throughout the body. The major effector cells in allergy. These are the major effector cells. They modulate the initial immune response. The expulsion of parasites through the release of granules is performed, and histamine, leukotrienes, and chemokines and cytokines are found in them. They are also involved in allergic responses. Now we'll be studying about the cells of lymphoid lineage. These are the large lymphocytes. There is large granular lymphocytes. Includes the natural killer cells, the innate immunity to viruses and other intracellular pathogens is provided through the natural killer cells. They participate in antibody-dependent cell-mediated cytotoxicity, that is ADCC. Okay, remember that, antibody-dependent cell-mediated cytotoxicity. Now the small lymphocytes, they are the B cells and T cells. They provide the adaptive immunity. Okay. Next we have B cells and T cells carry receptor molecules that recognize specific targets. T cells recognize as non-self targets such as pathogen only after antigens, that is the small fragments of the pathogens, have been processed and presented in the combination with a self receptor called as a major histocompatibility complex molecule. Okay, do not go into the details, just look at the overview. There are two major subtypes of T cell, that is the killer T cell and the helper T cell. The killer T cells only recognize antigens coupled to class 1 MHC molecule, that is the major histocompatibility complex molecule. So while helper T cells only recognize antigens coupled to class 2 MHC molecules. A third minor subtype are the alpha delta T cells that recognize intact antigens that are not bound to the MSC receptors. In contrast to the B cells, the antigen specific receptor is an antibody molecule on the B cell surface and recognizes whole pathogens without any need of antigen processing. Each lineage of B cell expresses a different antibody, So the complete set of B cell antigen receptors represent all the antibodies that body can manufacture. Okay. Now the comparison of T cells and B cells. The T cells are responsible for cell-mediated immunity. B cells are responsible for humoral immunity. T cells have a lifespan is long and B cells lifespan is short. They differentiate inside thymus gland. They differentiate inside bone marrow. Absence of surface antibodies. In B cell, surface antibodies are present, transformed into small lymphocytes by antigens, transformed to plasma by antigens. They secrete lymphokines, they secrete antibodies. The subpopulations are cytotoxic T helper cells and suppressor cells. Their subpopulations are memory cells and plasma cells. They stimulate phagocytes and B cells into activity. B cells or B lymphocytes produce antibodies. Okay. So I hope you guys like the lesson. Thank you guys for watching and keep learning.